Hello and welcome to TD's Pokemon Lair. I'm TD and this is the Lair. Today we're unboxing another box of Pokemon cards that's in the PSA. A little while ago I got them back in this box. Let me get them out of here and we'll see what grades I got. Alright, let's go. Check out this 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Jigglypuff, the number 54 card of the set. The colors and graphics are vibrant. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at the corners and the edges, I do not see any damage. Flip the card over and look to the back and our surface is really nice. No creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think it's all within the tolerances. Looking at the corners and the edges, the only thing I see is a little bit of damage on that upper right corner and maybe the right edge being speckled with a few spots of damage. And the grade Jigglypuff's going to get is a Mint 9. I think that's well deserved. Let's look at this 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Mankey, the number 55 card. Looking at the front of this card, I like what I see. I like the graphics. The surface is free of any creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom, left to right, I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at the corners and the edges, I think they're really nice and clean. I did not see any damage. Let's gander at the back for a second, and our surface is very nice. No creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom, I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, it's very hard to see. It's very slight, but there's some very slight damage on that lower right corner. And the grade is going to be a grade of Mint 9. The card did pretty good. Here is a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Meowth, the number 56 card. Looking at this card, I like what I see. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think is all within the tolerances. Maybe it is a little to the top, but I think it's within the tolerance. Looking at our corners and our edges, I think those are very clean and show no damage. The back of the card is very clean. There's no scratches, creases, bends, or dirt on the surface. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, left to right, I think those are all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, the only thing I can find is there's a very slight damage about halfway down that left side. And that's going to get us a grade of Mint 9. That's a really good grade. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Nidoran, the number 57 card of the set. Looking at the front of this card, I like what I see. Our centering from left to right, a little to the right, but I think it's within the tolerance. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, I think that's within the tolerance. Our corners and our edges look really clean and free of any damage, as does our surface. I didn't see any creases, bends, or scratches. Flipping the card over and taking a look at the back as we always do. Our centering from left to right looks a little to the left. Centering top to bottom I think is within the tolerance. Looking at our corners and our edges, the upper right corner has some damage. And speaking of damage, I did not find any on the surface of the card like creases, bends, or scratches. This Nidoran is going to get a grade of Mint 9. That's a deserving grade. Let me show you this 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Oddish, the number 58 card. Looking at the centering on this front of the card from top to bottom, and I think it's within the tolerance. Left to right, I think it's slightly towards the left. Looking at the corners and the edges, they are very clean and free of damage. And looking at the surface, I did not see any creases, bends, or scratches or any other damage on the surface of this card. Let's flip it over, and as we look to the back, our centering from left to right looks a little to the right to me, but probably within the tolerance, and top to bottom centering I think is within the tolerance. Looking at the surface, I did not find any scratches, creases, or bends or other damage. Looking at our corners and our edges, I think those are actually pretty clean. I did not see any damage on them either. And this is going to get me a grade of Mint 9. Wow, I've seen other cards that had worse centering that got a 10. You're looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Paras, the number 59 card. This card is very clean. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from top to bottom, left to right, I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at the corners and the edges, they're nice and clean with no damage. Flip this card over and the back of the card looks just as great as the front. The surfaces show no damage like creases, bends, or scratches. Are centering from left to right and top to bottom. I think is all within the tolerance for the back of the card. Looking at our corners and our edges, our upper right corner and a little in the center of the right edge have some damage. And that's going to get us a grade of mint 9. I like the 9s. 10s are better though. This card is a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Pikachu, the number 60 card. This card looks really clean. I love the picture of Pikachu. The surface of the card shows no damage of creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom, left to right is all within the tolerances. Our corners and our edges look very clean. I did not find any damage that would affect a grade. The back of the card looks just as good as the front. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right I think is all within the tolerances. Looking to our corners and our edges, the only thing I can find is our upper left corner and the lower right corner both have a few specks of damage. And that means Pikachu from the Jungle Set is going to get a grade of mint 9. I like it. That's pretty good. Let's check out this 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Rhyhorn, the number 61 card of the set. Looking at the front of this card, the colors are vibrant. There's no problems on the surface like creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom, left to right are all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and edges, they're very clean and crisp with no damage. Let's turn this card over and look to the back, and our surface is very nice. No creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right I think is within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, I see a speck or two on that upper edge of damage, and the lower left corner has some damage. And this card's going to get a grade of mint 9. 23-year-old card getting a 9. We are looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Spearow, the number 62 card. This card is very nice. There's no creases, bends, scratches, or any other problems on the surface. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, they're very clean and show no damage. Let's turn this card over and check out the back like we always do. And our surface is very clean, no creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from left to right looks a little to the left to me, and top to bottom though I think is within the tolerance. Looking at our corners and our edges, the upper right corner, lower left corner, and a couple specks down that right side show a little damage. And we will get a grade of mint 9. That's pretty darn good for that card. I'm showing you this 1999 Pokemon Jungle Set Venonat, the number 63 card. This Pokemon I've never been a real big fan of, but this is a nice card. The centering from left to right I think is within the tolerance. Centering from top to bottom is I think within the tolerance too. Looking at our corners and edges, I think they're free of any damage and very crisp. Looking at our surface, I did not find any creases, bends, or scratches. The back of the card looks really clean and free of any scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from left to right looks a little to the left. Top to bottom centering and slightly to the bottom, but I think that's within the tolerance. Looking at our corners and our edges, the lower left corner and the right edge has some damage. And that's going to get us a grade of near mint, mint 8. That's pretty good for a card like that. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and the cards I presented. Please like and subscribe, and always remember, you got to catch them all. Have a great day.